Welcome to Seizing Valor, where we discover God's path for manhood, one conversation at a time. I'm Joe.
I'm Josh. Hey, man.
Dude, I'm so happy to see you.
Yeah,
We do
I'm
not we
glad
do
to.
not have we don't have Zach today because he is busy off with work, but we wish him well. And very excited to talk about this topic today. We are going to be having a three-part series for the trilogy of Lord of the Rings. It's a representation of true masculinity, and also talking about the Christian aspect of it, because Tolkien being an avid Catholic.
Yeah,
Very excited for
excited.
today. Today is Fellowship of the Ring.
Yeah, definitely excited about this chat. So I just came off of watching Lord of the Rings, and I'm deeply, deeply in love with Lord of the Rings, and so I'm
Mm-hmm.
happy to be talking about this.
And
Yeah,
you constantly read it, dude. And as do
I
I. I've
do.
been listening to my
Yeah,
audiobook of it.
yeah. I try to read it every year. So I this year I took a little bit of a break from it, just because I want to get the excitement again.
Mm.
So I'll probably read it in a couple months. But normally I start off and I read it in January and February. But
Mm.
let's
Yeah,
dive
so
into
we're
that.
a little bit over 20 years later when these movies came out. I mean, Two Towers just had its 20th anniversary. You
Mhm.
know, this series and book series rather, it still feels as revolutionary as it did at the time of its, of course, movie release and its impact on pop culture. And I think the old saying goes that like this movie would never have been made, this movie series would never have been made today. Like we truly had lightning in a bottle, right? Uh,
Yeah.
and we're with here talking about manliness too. Even talking about the common man, which we'll go more into a little bit later. Even the smallest person can change the course of the future. This whole series appeals to the average Joe, the regular guy. And that's why it's so much resonating to so many people, male and females included.
Yeah, I would agree. I would agree. And that's the beauty of the writing and the power of Tolkien is
Mm,
his ability to create characters that are relatable but are powerful and then somehow like just like they exhibit like these incredible traits that you just want to pour yourself into
mhm,
and to inspire you to act in accord.
mhm.
But yeah, I mean, incredible movies, and we're so blessed to have these in our lifetime,
Yeah,
and to grow up with them. I
yeah.
remember watching them as they came out. I didn't see them in the theaters because I wasn't
Mhm,
old enough, but we would watch them on DVD,
yeah.
and it changed my life, like 100% changed my life. It was a series that I adored and fell in love with, and will never be the same as a result.
Right, right. Um, I fell in Fellowship of the Ring, which we're talking today, is my favorite
Mm.
of the three. Not only for its uh, mystical elements that aren't as prominent in Two Towers and
Mm.
Return of the King. I like this one because it's more fantasy based compared to. But anyway, this series and this first one like made me fall in love, of course, with the franchise. Obviously, with it being the first, but Lord of the Rings, it's a tale about men. It's prominently male character driven, which is to its appeal for, I say, you and me. Of course, we have our Galadriels, we have our Eowyn, our Arwyns. You know, J.R.R. Tolkien had very similar sounding names for women, I
Yeah, yeah.
suppose. But men are the beating heart of this franchise. The Central Fellowship. I mean, the Fellowship of the Ring is a 9 companions, 9 dudes who stepped up to the plate in order to help in some way, shape, or form to deliver this one ring to its death of the villain.
Yeah, and I think
Yeah,
that shows the power behind it as well, and the beauty of that. The fact that you have 9 men in a fellowship,
yeah,
like drawn together through some semblance of brotherhood, where they
hmm,
can go and they have that goal in mind of destroying evil, essentially, and
yeah.
bringing goodness and peace in the golden era
Hmm.
into the world that they're in.
These men don't really adhere to like the classic stereotype of what a male fantasy hero is, because in modern society, you either see one of two things. In modern pop culture, you see one of two things. You see the alpha male, for example, in the God of War series,
Mm.
Stoicism, which has its place, of course, but you also have one that doesn't really show the caring and tenderness of being a man. And then you also have the more beta type, which is rife within commercials. It's rife within more modern action types. I don't really want to go into too much, but I think a lot of us who are listening can at least pinpoint one. And that's been happening a lot more in the last 10 years or so, which makes this series all the more popular.
Yeah, exactly. Because we look at those examples between the alpha and like beta male. They kind of
Mhm.
are both are like caricatures of like the different these like exaggerated traits of what men are, which now is a shame. Like has become like the example for a lot of people, and I
Mhm.
think in a negative way. And we've talked about this in our negative male stereotypes video,
Yeah.
but yeah, and that's the beauty again behind Tolkien's characters and the way that Peter Jackson kind of interpreted them and showed them on screen was like there is a lot of nuance in these characters.
Yeah.
You have strong ones, you have weak ones, you have moments of weakness, you have moments of strength that they all kind
Mm.
of show and yeah, so it just shows that the dynamic nature of
Mm.
masculinity and how it
Yeah.
changes and how we grow
Hmm.
and how you have to kind of have these experiences. You have to have moments where you're challenged to overcome and then therefore become courageous, and you
Yeah.
have those moments of bravery,
Hmm.
even if you're afraid or whatever it is. And that's the beauty behind these characters, I think, is just reveals like this is what men they are and what they should be.
Yeah.
Is you have like decisions to make, you have morality, you have good and evil in the world, and it's your
Mm.
job to then therefore team up with individuals who are like-minded, and then therefore tackle the evil and overcome it to bring good into the world. I mean, it's the
Yeah.
part it's literally the perfect story. Like it is the perfect story for like
Yeah.
our human existence
Hmm.
and experience.
When you think of men as in this movie or book alone, who's the one that comes to mind first?
It's for me it's always been Sam.
Really?
Like
Okay, cool.
he was the one in my mind that's like he is the character. He's the
Yeah.
main character of the stories. Like
Hmm.
without him, there is no Frodo.
Hmm.
There is no destruction of the ring. And then
Yeah.
obviously you get like Aragorn too, because he's the king. He's that masculine
Yeah.
figure, the courageous one who leads. He's an incredible leader, and he's
Mm.
got skills and abilities and all of that. But for me, it always goes back to Sam because of his just like, and we'll talk more about it in the other episodes. But at least in the first episode, his willingness to like lay down his life for Frodo to go with him on this quest. Here he is as a gardener who's like living his peaceful life in the Shire, and then one day he overhears this conversation between
Mhm.
Gandalf and Frodo, telling them about the ring and all the evil in the world and how
Yep.
like the beginning of the quest. And then he's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go with you guys.
Yeah. It almost
I'm
seemed like
gonna
in the
go.
movie he was forced to do it, but at the same
Mhm.
time, it's not really delved into too much. It's more alluded to that sense. But at the same time, he was curious about that conversation because it appealed to his friend,
Exactly,
his
which is why he was there listening, because
yeah.
he wanted to. He was
Mhm.
worried about his master, Master
Yes.
Frodo,
Yeah,
and
because
to
aristocratically, Frodo is higher class wise.
right, yeah,
In
yeah.
the that's delved more into in the book, but it's interesting.
Yeah. And so here he is wanting to help him and
Yeah.
to listening in, and his ears are perking up about this discussion. And then, he wants to help. And he obviously could have denied Gandalf, and he could have, but he didn't,
No.
and he went along with the plan. And obviously in the books it's a little bit different. But like
Yeah.
if we're talking strictly about the movies, then
Mhm.
yeah, like for him to still go with him regardless
Mhm.
of what this all means, even though he just heard about Hell on
Yeah.
Earth. And let's go conquer it together. Let's go on this quest to Rivendell to try to fix the world.
And he does it with a lot of like willful ignorance, I would say, because he
Yeah.
doesn't know exactly what this hell on earth looks like. Because in the Shire, that represents our Earth, that represents the known world. That
Yeah.
again, hero's journey. But anyway, I agree. Sam is probably like the top tier. Everyone would assume that either him or Aragorn are like the typical males that we aspire to be. Um,
Yeah.
for me, it was also Aragorn for years and years and years. Back on the playground, like in third grade, I would always want to be Aragorn when we're
Oh yeah.
pretending Lord of the Rings. For me personally, what makes me think of like what a man is in that movie, like the really cool actions that Aragorn takes, it shows his tenderness when Aragorn finds Boromir dying. Spoiler alert, it's been like 20 years, give it a rest. He lets his tears, fall after he gives him a kiss on the forehead. He's not afraid to be tenderhearted, like I said before. Has his friend in arms, and before like kissing his forehead, he wishes him peace and in this next life, in the parting ways. And also too, when Gandalf plummets to his death, Aragorn has to like take a moment to just look at what happened, not even believing what he saw, but has to step up as like the de facto leader. Peter Jackson, he dedicates like full minutes to that grief of even Aragorn, but at the same time, when everyone is grieving, he knows that we have to press on for everybody's safety.
Yeah, exactly.
We
So he takes up
watch
that
these
mantle.
guys. Yeah, we watch these guys face like go blank with shock, especially Aragorn. He's one of the first that we see before the full impact of the loss hits all the rest of them outside, and they sob uncontrollably. And then there's Aragorn, who he doesn't want to, but he has to. Like, he can't be the leader at that moment in time. He's the leader in that moment, and then eventually he'll become the full, like, blooming flower of a leader that he is in the next two films.
And I'll say that too, Joe. Like, growing up, it was always Aragorn. Like, Aragorn's the man. Like, he's phenomenal and all that. And I think just the past couple of years, I've really kind of felt that Sam is such an incredible character too. That I strive for.
Aragorn's not really the main hero of the story, if we really think about it. Even though, like, in the third one, it says the Return of the King, like, that's about him, like, so to speak. We'll go more into that later, but Aragorn, in the end of the Fellowship of the Ring, he's actually given like the ring, like, an opportunity to have it and hold it and destroy it, because Frodo sees him as the leader of the group. Is like, I can't do this. We'll talk more about Frodo in a sec, but Aragorn, knowing that this is not his story, he denies that. He puts it back into Frodo's hand and says, I know Boromir screwed up, and he's a man just like me. That means I'm going to screw up, so I have to make sure that this quest is successful. And he does that by denying himself. Even not denying the ring, he just denies his involvement specifically in that moment. And the denial of oneself, it's so poignant. And a lot of people in our day and age don't deny themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because in that moment, he like recognizes that, no, like, this is your mission, Frodo. Like, this is your quest. Like, I'm not going to take this. This is yours. And so, and he does have that fear of, like, I may succumb to this, the power of the ring, because his ancestors did. It was Isildur's Bane, the last king of Gondor, who was tempted by it and was killed by it.
Yeah.
And so he was in that line of kings, and so he was concerned that he had that same Bane within him.
Yeah.
And so he didn't want to be tempted by that, but then recognizing that, like, no, like, this mission is for you, Frodo, so you have to go and achieve that. And that is a loving line that he says. He says, I would have gone to the end of the world, I would have gone to the very fires of Mount Doom with you, but, like, now I know that you have to.
That's not my destiny. Yeah,
exactly. And I'm gonna help in every way that I can to make this a reality, but, like, you got this now, like, go, like. And then as he saves him from the orc horde.
And then in relation to women too, because there aren't very many women characters, because it's not fully about them, but when his love interest Arwen, played by the gorgeous Liv Tyler, she tells him, when we first meet Liv Tyler, she informs Aragorn, she's the better rider, and which Aragorn doesn't deny. Like, he knows that is very true because they've had a history together. And when time is of the essence, it's a 6-day ride to Rivendell. He's like, okay, this is clearly, like, your thing. Like, he denies himself. Like, once again, we know, like, his character at that point in time, she's a superior choice when coming to get Frodo away from the Nazgul. He doesn't argue with her. He simply, nods, tells her to be careful, of course, expresses worry, but that's really cool.
And
when he knows when to. Yeah, he knows his role.
Yeah, exactly. The beauty of humility, right? Because
Mhm.
he probably maybe could he might have been able to, but just the fact that he knew that she had that ability and that capacity because of her
Mhm. Mhm.
elvishness
Mhm.
in her horse.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, to be able to deny himself, let go of the pride, be humble in the moment, and say like,
Mhm.
okay, well, you take care of this now.
Yeah.
Like that's something that we as men should understand. Like we,
Mhm.
and to be able to know ourselves enough to understand our limitations,
Yeah.
and then to recognize those strengths in other people and to allow them to kind of take over in our lacking
Right.
is a gift,
Yeah.
and that is definitely something we could practice more as men in this culture, I think.
Mhm. Mhm. I agree. Lastly, I know that like Frodo's somebody that will talk more like in like segments, I suppose, if we
Sure.
could call it that. I mean, we'll talk about probably all characters in segments, but I used to like really not like his scenes as much compared to the other characters because of the fact that his journey is more of an internal one, and it's not something that we all fully understand. I mean, we can see like the physicality of like Sam's journey, like as far as like uh, it's more of an outside struggle for Sam
Mhm.
and Aragorn's as well, a little bit internal too. I guess that's why a lot of people relate to him. But with Frodo, his internal thing is it deals a lot with you know depression or something like that, or some type of internal struggle that a lot of guys do go through. For example, uh, he shows an incredible amount of doubt when he knows for one thing that he should take the ring when he's in Rivendell at the council, uh, but doesn't really know if he should and then he steps up, you know. Um, and then he tells Gandalf, actually, when the quest has begun, I wish this ring hadn't come to me. I wish none of this had happened. Um, yeah.
Yeah, because he recognizes the difficulty of the quest and
Hmm.
that has been given to him, and he has those moments throughout that are like, this is tough, this is
Hmm.
hard, like, and I want to just go home. Like,
Yeah.
I want to be at peace with my my homestead, my location, my friends and family that are nearby. Like, I want to
Yeah.
just be in, just pretend that this doesn't exist, and
Yeah.
he can't do
I
that anymore.
agree. I totally, totally agree. And when he was in Hobbiton, he would always say, like, I want to be with you on one of your adventures, Bilbo. But, when he gets like these struggles, these setbacks, when the world is, hammering away and chiseling at his very character, his very core of who he is, that's when he wants to retreat, go back to the Shire once he's in Rivendell. And that, for one thing, is a real character piece on depression. Once like there starts to be a little bit of work on your heart and on your character, you want to retreat. You want to, not enjoy like, your growth a little bit uh in the muck, in the mire that you're trying to get out. But
Yeah, and then overcoming that temptation
mhm,
is where the strength, the virtue,
mhm.
and ultimately the joy kind of can flood in,
Yeah, I
and
agree.
that's kind of where it happens. Like after the acceptance of like, okay, I'm gonna do this, and we're gonna achieve this, especially after Rivendell. It's like, okay, I made that decision. He gets on his feet, and then he travels with the group,
Hmm.
and then he has to kind of overcome
Yeah,
a lot through the midst of it, especially in the very
yeah.
first
With the
first
death of
there.
Gandalf, that was the
Mhm.
that was the thing that like destroyed him almost and made him like an
Yeah.
entirely different person, because I suppose any internal struggle affects like the people around you, and in this case, like
Mhm.
Gandalf died.
Yeah.
But in a sense, that makes him feel as if I can only do this on my own. I can only solve it on my own. And then when Sam comes into the mix at the very end of the movie, as if he wants to help, he probably denies that because he doesn't want to see Sam hurt. He
Mhm.
feels like only I can understand my struggle. We'll go more into that part a little bit later because that's delved more into. But he finally accepts that, you know, I have to take my friend along with me because I recognize that I can't solve this alone. At least, like, I've been with this guy like the most out of anybody, and he probably
Yeah.
understands me a lot more. So when people undergoing some type of internal conflict, there's power in friendship, and there's power in your dear friends, which they call each other, and all these nine guys.
No, exactly. Yeah. So Frodo recognizes that after the loss of Gandalf, that
Mhm,
like he doesn't want to lose other people, and like now the head is kind of
mhm,
removed because Gandalf is gone, so the
mhm,
Fellowship is broken. So then he has to leave, and especially after Lady Galadriel
mhm,
warns him about Boromir.
mhm,
That like he's convinced now, okay, this is over. So I need to go and do this by myself. Like I need to achieve it by myself.
mhm,
And then I think like he's firm on that. Like I don't want anyone else. I don't want to lose my friends. I don't want to lose anyone else. So I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go on my own, and then I'm gonna do this myself.
mhm.
But then I think he's overcome with joy at the thought of Sam helping him. But of course at first he denies it. Says no, I have to do this on my own. Sam, like don't help. And then after Sam persists, it's like this moment of like, okay, we're gonna do this together. I'm happy
Yep.
you're here, Sam. Like let's do this.
Mhm.
So yeah. After kind of coming to that reality of the necessity of the other to come and help, it empowers him and ultimately Sam too.
Yeah.
So great, and
Yeah.
that's kind of the story.
That's
It's
Fellowship of the Ring.
Fellowship.
I'm sure there are more examples. Please feel free to comment if you guys know of any other examples of healthy masculinity. These well written men, because they are, of Lord of the
Mhm.
Rings, more especially in the books too. Of Lord of the Rings, Fellowship of the Ring. We'll go more into the other films later. Have given us, a beautiful example of what it means to be healthy masculine, healthily masculine. You know, Men who they cry without shame. They weep for hardship or even joy, for a sense. They experience deep pain, but also deep love and affection. They treat women and girls with the same thoughtfulness that they want to be treated with as well. And they create friendships, they express themselves, and they treat others with genuine kindness and respect. They show that genuine filial love, that agape love that we ought to for our brothers and sisters in Christ, everyone. It's true. Like Tolkien, he didn't know what an orc was at first. He doesn't have that experience. He doesn't know what an elf is, but he knows what depression is. He knows what filial love is. He knows what um, being a healthy man is.
And sacrifice and
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. No, that's
Great
great.
movie. If you have not seen Lord of the Rings, I don't know why you're watching us with this.
Yeah,
If you just need a lovely review of the first,
you just watch it. Yeah, watch it
or,
right
or
now.
better yet, wait until the next two towers to see because you're gonna want to watch the second and third one like almost immediately. So I don't know what you're gonna want to do, but I trust your judgment, arbitrary viewer. Well, how's your week been?
Good. Yeah, it's been exhausting, but good. I started work this week, which is great.
Yeah.
I have been doing a lot of like orientation and all that stuff. So basically, this week and next week are all like training
Mm.
time. And so on this past Monday, I had an entire day of orientation, which is just like watching modules in a conference room and having facilitators talk to you about the job and all this
Mm.
stuff. With a room full of people, and it was okay. It was pretty boring, and a lot of the module stuff is like about diversity and inclusion and sexual harassment and all that crap, and just learning how to just be like a good person. And
Yeah.
like all you had to say was like, you just be a good person.
Common sense. Yeah.
Yeah, common sense stuff, but I guess they have to cover their bums. And then the second day, it was a defensive driving class, which is more of the same. It was basically like, hey, don't be stupid on the road
Yeah.
while you're driving. But that was nice. The second day was nice because the instructor, the facilitator that we had um, was a good guy. He was very funny and was very knowledgeable, and people had a lot of questions and a lot of things were answered. And then by the end of that day, I found out what was next. So coming up next today, I had a shadow day. So I had to go to my office that I'm going to be working at, and
Hmm.
I followed somebody around for their day.
Cool.
So like I got there 8 a.m. when they came, and I just kind of was their shadow. It wasn't too exciting because I didn't really know much about what he was doing. He was talking about it a bit, but there's a few things that I just were like, there's a lot at once that I was just like, oh, nice, great. So I was just kind of
Mm.
observing. And which was good. The guy that I was shadowing was good. And then
Mhm.
afterwards, I spoke to my manager a bit. We got out early because it was a light day, which was nice. And then I've been resting. And then tomorrow, I have my road test at 6
Mm.
a.m. in Garden City, which is an hour, so I have to wake up at like 4 o'clock or so. But it'll be all right because it's just I get a lot of practice with the mail truck tomorrow. I get to sit in it and drive around with it and practice for 2 hours before taking the road test, which is great. And I'm sure it'll be fine. I'm not nervous about it or anything. So I'm pretty good with vehicles. And then so that'll be done, and I'll be finished with that. And then the following week, so then I'll be done. And then this weekend, I'm going to see my parents because they're moving to Virginia. So I'm picking up some stuff at the house. So I'm taking Eli up, so I don't have to wake up at 4 a.m. the next day.
Oh man, I'm
So
sorry.
I'm gonna be pretty tired. But then I get this Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. I'm gonna be with my parents Saturday, Sunday, and then Monday I'm gonna try to recuperate and rest.
Nice.
And then the following, so Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, I'm doing like more academy training. It's called like Carrier Academy. And so I'm going to another town pretty far from here to do that for 4 days. And then it's like 7 to 3:30 each day. And then from then I have to do on the job training. So that's another week. So actually I have 3 weeks of this at a different location, not my office, where I'm like doing the job and then somebody is shadowing me just to make sure that I'm doing everything correctly. And then after that, I'm officially working at my location. So I have like 3 weeks until I'm officially a city carrier assistant for the USPS.
Yeah, looking out in the distance, it seems like it's just gonna. I have to learn like all of this stuff, but it's gonna go a lot quicker than.
No, exactly. And just watching the job, it's not like a hard job. It's just like there's just a lot to remember at one point, and like through repetition, like you'll get it. Like after once you get your route and you get your addresses and you have everything organized, like it's just like it's like old hat, you know. But getting there, I guess, is the
How do you feel about the Virginia thing?
Good. Yeah, I'm very happy for my parents. I'm glad that they're moving. Because they I've been talking about going down south for a long time, and they're finally doing it after many years talking about it. Because my dad got a really great job down there, working heavy machinery for like a national park in Virginia.
Get out! No way! That's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm very happy for them.
Good for him.
And yeah, so it's good. So yeah, it'll be one of those like moments where I'm like saying goodbye because I won't ever have to go upstate again because they were why I would. Yeah, so
that's
it's like gonna be.
You're right. Oh my goodness, what do you think about that?
That's pretty intense. Yeah, I know. I haven't really sat with it too much. I'm gonna hit all those emotions when I get down there with Eli when we go.
And maybe even afterwards too, because I don't know, you're so busy to begin with these next couple of weeks.
Right. No, exactly. So kind of having everything. If I have like a second to just kind of sit, I'm gonna be struck with all these emotions. But it's good. It's good. Yeah, I'm happy about it. But yeah, it is like it's just like a lot happening right now. I'm just like all of this stuff is being throughout, like a lot of change is happening. And so I'm enduring that and all of the emotions that come behind that. But it's going good. It's going well. Yeah. I'm happy.
You seem to be like, I remember like, I know that you're a person that feels invigorated by change in a lot of ways, but this demeanor right now, like it seems different than how I've seen you interact with change before. Almost like in the past, like you go about like change like with reckless abandon, like, which is good, you know. But then right now, like I suppose maybe the schedule that you've got like is keeping you grounded too. Like you seem excited like for everybody too, but at the same time, like you have, I don't know, I can just see it in your eyes. You have a very mature aspect. Not that you weren't before, but
and I don't know. There's some more things behind the scenes that I can't quite talk about even more. That's kind of adding to all of the change that's happening right now. And so it's just like there's a lot happening right now. You know, it's like when it rains, it pours. You know, and like that old saying, because like just so much happened as soon as I found out I had a job. Like there's all these other things that have kind of been piling on of like these big life changes that are happening. And like I said, something I can't even talk about yet, but but because of all that,
they come in threes or something like that.
Exactly, and that's just what it feels like. Because you know, I know, because I had like a year and a half there of like where not much was going on. So all of a sudden it's like bam, like life has struck me, and I'm happy about it. I like the change, but like I said, it's kind of piling on a lot of things on my shoulders that like just out of the blue that
Yeah.
like I wasn't expecting.
Yeah.
And like my kids are all sick now. They're all like it's just like all happened at once. And so they and my wife was ill for a couple of days.
Yeah.
And so I had to take care of her. And so like I
Mm.
coming home for my first day of work and like everything was a disaster. Like having to cook and clean and take care of her because
It's a
she was
season of
laid out.
change for them too. Like
No, well,
it's
it
pretty
is.
funny.
Honestly, it
Yeah.
really is. And so everything is just kind of, but that's okay because life happens,
Mm.
and it'll all level off eventually. But I'm just kind of, at that moment where everything's kind of
Yeah.
crazy.
Instead of a wind of change, this is more like a tornado of it. I hear you.
Yeah, no, exactly, exactly. Yeah, no, I like change. I embrace it. I'm happy about it. But the change that I'm experiencing right now is kind of there's this a little bit of underlying like stress behind everything
Mm,
because I feel a
mm,
little
mm,
tired.
mm.
But it's still exciting and it's good. It's a good thing that's happening. It's like our goals are being met. My family, within my family, and then outside of my family, like my friends and that are local. There's a lot of things that are happening for a lot of people that's great and exciting, and
Mhm.
for my parents, and yeah. So it's like things are good. Things are looking good.
Good.
That's what I'll say. So how are you, Joe? How's your week?
I've been I've been good. What did I do this past weekend? I actually spent time with the family. My mom and dad, they had previously met my girlfriend a couple weeks prior, but I had been postponing this for a while because my parents, they've got their own like weird habits and stuff like that. But my girlfriend came to my parents' place. And surprisingly, you don't want uh, your girlfriend to see like the negative sides of your family or just like their weird habits or something like that. Like
Mhm.
you get nervous about that.
Right.
Um, but surprisingly, like I mean, they're always on their best behavior, my mom and dad. But at the same time, like it was almost like too prim and proper. I'm like I was just waiting. When is it going to happen? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So that was something that, and it was great. It was wonderful. So I was
Nice.
supposedly all in my own head. And then these next 2 weeks, by the time this episode arrives, comes out, it'll be another one more week or so, winding down coaching swim season. I can't wait for it to be done. But at the same time, I'm happy to see some good results after this date of filming. They've got their championship meet. Every
Mm.
kid on the pool deck I was teaching them how to shave all the parts that are exposed. Besides the underneath the swimsuit, obviously reasons there.
Yeah.
But it was pretty much like teaching a group of 10-year-olds. It felt
Yeah.
like how
Yeah.
to shave, like even teaching them like, yes, shave against the grain and stuff.
Mhm. Yeah.
And it was comical, but also it took them forever, like hour and a half to like get all of that stuff. And what I decided to do after this one kid who really did not have that much hair on him too, me and another team manager, we shaved the Avatar arrow on his head, like just to pass the time because I did not know what to do with myself because I would have just been waiting around. So that happened. Um,
Nice.
yeah, so it's that. I can't wait after this season is done I mean, it is getting lighter out to finally be able to see the sun
Mhm.
a lot more, have some more free time, guitar time, personal time for me too. And it's been great because I haven't really had too much guitar time at church because that would have factored into a lot. That'll be picking up around mid-March, which will be perfect ripe time. I'll feel great. Swim season will
Nice.
be over. So that's where I'm at. I'm blessed with the good timing of it all. Not that I don't love playing for church. I think it just timing wise, winding down at this season, it's needed,
Mhm.
so to speak.
Yep.
Yeah. And then this weekend, I'm looking forward to seeing my after the meet, my sister, my mom, possibly my dad because he's coming traveling to get to us. And my niece, we're all going to go after the meet, spend some time at my mom and dad's place. And my sister, she said that all I want is the Costco food. That's the only reason I'm coming down. She's kidding, of course, but like $1.50 hot dog, you know.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
I know.
That's great.
Because
I love
that
that.
was
I like your
that was my
pizza too.
hangout spot
Mm,
on like Saturdays.
there you go. No, that's great. Yeah, I'm a fan of their pizza. I don't know if you have the pizza by
That's my
you, but
favorite pizza. It is my
yeah,
favorite pizza, no joke.
it's very good. Yeah, as
Re-
someone who lives on where the pizza is amazing and classic, I will say Costco pizza
Costco's pizza,
is
dude.
is is
I love you.
comparable. I will say it's comparable to the style that I currently am surrounded by, which
Yeah.
is also fantastic.
So what we would like you all to do right now is please subscribe to Seizing Valor before you click away. We would love to have you subscribe to this channel and also like this video, and please subscribe and hit the bell icon. It will really help us out in the algorithm. We'd love you to be a part of this family. We are a strong group of guys. Myself, Zach, who is not here, and Josh right here. We love doing this, and we love talking about our experiences. If you want to also check us out on Spotify, we are on their video episodes as well, in addition to YouTube. But we don't know what your method of listening or watching our beautiful faces is, so we're going to leave that up to you. However, please also take a look at us on Instagram at Seizing Valor. We have extra content on there that we would love to post on, and see you be our family on there as well. If you have additional comments or questions, put that on YouTube, or also if you have a little bit more privacy that you require, you can email us at seizingvalor@gmail.com.
That's so much, man. Heavenly Father, thank you for today and the gifts that you've given us. I just pray that we take this discussion and as we've heard about some heroism and some characters who were understanding the positive traits of what true masculinity is, and I pray that we can take them into heart, take them to heart, and that through these examples of these written characters through the mind of Tolkien, that we can be inspired by their goodness and their joy and their strength and their courage and overcoming challenges and things that are fearful and scary, such as battling and the orcs of the world and the temptation of the ring, right, that we kind of experience in our own lives. But I pray that we can turn to you and to seek your goodness, your love, your light, your grace to overcome all these battles and to ultimately conquer that one ring within our lives. But yeah, be with us in all things and let us accomplish your will, Lord, and remove those distractions that are keeping that from being so. We love you. Most precious and holy name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you all for attending, and we will see you all for episode 2 of our series on Lord of the Rings and healthy masculinity. Take care.
Take care.